Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Happy Hanukkah! Festive Kwanzaa! Wonderful winter solstice! Ramadan? Let's have some fun! Ooh. Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba. All right. Promoter 101. 12 Nights of Christmas. Promoter 101. Promoter 101.
Hi, this is Scott Perry. You can catch me on Promoter 101 with Dan Steinberg.
Welcome to Promoter 101, 12 Days of Christmas Special Spectacular. We've got interviews rolling that have never been heard before anywhere. Today is no different. We're running them all the way through the 31st. I'm Dan Steinberg. Joining me, my good friend Luke Pierce, to unveil the guest of the day. Luke?
Welcome all. Day 9, like Dan said, of Promoter 101's 12 Days of Christmas. And our featured guest today is going to be the Prudential Center's Saadeh. He's going to give us a glimpse of the inner workings of one of the busiest venues in the world.
My name is Reese Ryan Steinberg, and you can watch my daddy on Promoter 101.
We continue our world tour. Catch us when we come to a town near you.
Next on deck for Promoter 101 will be live at the FlyCon conference in the Big Easy, New Orleans, January 16th at 2 p.m. We'll be recording Promoter 101 live with a special guest from Locken and the Brooklyn Bowl, Mr. Peter Shapiro. Looking forward to it, Dan.
Yeah, and you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at The Jew. The show's at Promoters101, and it's plural, Promoters with an S, 101. And you can always catch Luke at W. Luke Pierce.
Of course, it's Dan and I talking every week. You hear enough of us, but it doesn't have to be that way. We're ready to listen. Send us an email with your ideas to steiny@promoter101.net. We can't wait to hear what's on your mind, and we give you our sworn promise to respond to every inquiry in a timely manner because you matter to us.
This is Mark Dettori. I am known as the Mad Manager, and I'm on Promoter 101.
On the 9th day of Christmas, we bring to you a very special featured guest from the Prudential Center, Mr. Saadeh. This is the man who was called to open up Barclays in New York and Brooklyn when this building opened, and today continues on at Prudential Center, which is one of the busiest venues in the entire world. We're going to welcome to Promoter 101, Saadeh.
Promoter 101, we're in New York, and we're joined by venue legend. I don't care if you're in Glendale, Arizona, if you're in Brooklyn, or now New Jersey. You run in the room, you're hosting the show. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Nice to see you, Steiny.
It's been a long time, but wherever it is, it's the biggest shows. Always play your room. They follow you around.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun with it. I've enjoyed being in this industry for over 20 years. I've learned some tricks of the trade, and I think the biggest trick of the trade is really partnerships and really working with them to increase content in the venues that I've worked at. And so every venue that I've worked at had struggles. I've always been in competitive markets, and as a result of that, I've had to really get scrappy and bring the shows and really focus on what's the content that's going to work best in our facilities.
A lot of great acts playing the room. You guys certainly are in the game, but there's 4 different arenas in this market, and in some cases, you're fighting with Jones Beach on top of Luba's Tennis Stadium, Forest Hill. There are a lot of options in this market. Dolly Parton could play anywhere. That's a hard fight. How are you guys getting shows, and is there a place for everyone?
Well, in a market of this size, obviously there's plenty of room, and it's historically been that way. I mean, for the longest time, you had 3 arenas in the marketplace, plus the amphitheaters and stadiums. So it's been like this for quite a while. You add another arena, you add some festivals, a more robust stadium lineup over the last 3 or 4 years.
Jason Miller said there was 10 plus stadium shows this summer in the market just for Live Nation.
Yeah.
That's a lot of business.
It is. And, the thing about it is it's been like that for the last 3 years. So it's
on
sustained.
Top of the festivals are building in number, and those are all arena headliners that won't be playing your arenas now.
Correct. Despite the major content in stadiums and the increase in festivals in the marketplace, we had our best concert season yet last year, getting up to 40 concerts, which is a record for Prudential Center. I think part of that is we've really focused in on being New Jersey's venue. As a result of that, we go out there and market the fact that there is room for New Jersey in the routing, and that it should be treated separately from New York. I think that if shows go up on sale at the same time as New York, we don't lose those crowds to New York. People in New Jersey, based on the numbers that I'm seeing, the analytics that I'm seeing, 80% of our fan base is New Jersey. So as a result of that, people like to stay on this side of the river. I'm not a New Jersey native. I'm getting to learn more and more about the marketplace, and we got great fans in Jersey. I mean, robust, major music fans, and I see it every time we do a show at the building. What we're really focused in on at Prudential Center is really building our brand.
Capacity is what, like 17, 18 in that ballpark?
About 18,000.
That's a really big town hall discussion. I mean, I can't even imagine Jediah Bartlett coming out and trying to play a room that size, Luke.
You have a lot of competition in northern New Jersey too, like within that subset of the 7 million people. I mean, and not at the arena level, but there's a lot of content that can come through on the stadium side of things, on the large theater side of things. I mean, you've got a lot of competition within the northern New Jersey market that you're up against too. It's not just the bigger New York situation. So,
not to mention what the football teams are actually over there for New York. They're actually all in Jersey and stuff. So that's taking a lot of dollars out of the market, those sports teams, because everybody has a franchise here. In some cases, they have two.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Jets and the Giants that play at MetLife Stadium, not to mention the friendlies that take place with soccer, and they do quite a bit of events over at MetLife Stadium, and so there is a lot of competition just in general, but again, the marketplace is really large.
What does your house cut down to?
We can cut down to about 5,000 seats.
Is there a curtaining system?
We do have a curtaining system, the whole 200 level, curtains off. We have a half house curtain as well.
Who's playing in the cut down configuration recently?
We don't do a lot of the half house. We'll do a lower bowl.
Because it still feels like an arena show at that point?
The curtains upstairs are really nice. So, when you're on stage as an artist, you're looking up, you don't feel like it's a cavernous venue. It really feels, nice and tight, and we've had great experiences. Unfortunately, I can't say everybody sells out the full arena. I wish we could, but we have flexibility, which I think our programming partners appreciate, as well as, the acts that come through. They like to have that ability to cut down should they not sell the tickets that they expected.
You've taken a lot of lessons from the past to build a really successful northern New Jersey, but you got your start in Southern California, and what was the first step for you?
I started a little over 20 years ago, San Diego Sports Arena, worked there for 9 years with Ernie Hahn. I stayed there a long time because I wanted to learn everything about the business.
So that was all Avalon and Bill Silva Presents down there at the time, right?
It was kind of an interesting market. San Diego it's a big city, but it's kind of, from an entertainment standpoint, being so close to LA, it sometimes is treated like a secondary market. SFX at the time, House of Blues at the time. House of Blues had just built an amphitheater down in Chula Vista.
Coors Light Amphitheater at the time, right?
Coors Amphitheater, yep. And so we had that. We never had that in San Diego before. The closest that we had in an amphitheater was over at San Diego State, which is a little 5,000-seater. The sports arena for the longest time was the place to go to see major concerts. And as a kid, I used to go see shows there. So for me to be able to work there at some point was really exciting. And
do you remember what your first show was there?
Well, my first show at the sports arena was Billy Joel.
First show you promoted or went to?
That I went to. As a building manager was KISS. It was the tour in which all the arena managers, the GMs, were dressing up in.
That was the first reunion tour with makeup.
Yeah, with makeup.
Which guy did you dress up as?
I didn't dress up. I guess it was GMs and promoters only. So I was just a booking assistant at the time. So I was just watching this from afar, and I'm like, wow, this is like a really cool industry to be in. Like, my first show is this rock show, and everybody's dressing up and having a great time. I said, look, I think I'm going to be in this for the long haul. To have fun like that, be able to work and make a living was pretty cool to me. So that got me started. From then, it was just like, growing at the sports arena. I ended up taking over the marketing department at one point. So I was a director of booking and marketing. I was marketing all the family shows that we had. I was involved with a lot of the settlements, just a lot of things. I got my hands wet, and because of that, it was a great experience. And I think that's why I stayed for 9 years, because 9 years is a long time, especially in this industry. Feels like a lifetime. But because of that opportunity, I just stayed on until there was, it was time for me to go. And then I got an offer to work for the Phoenix Coyotes. The arena was about a year old by the time I got there. It was right after the lockout. The Coyotes and the NHL were in lockout, and so they hired me, and I literally started right when they came out of the lockout. But it was a fairly new building. It wasn't one of those buildings like you build them and then they come, like you have a honeymoon period. It was really a struggle because a lot of people felt like the west side of town was a tough place to bring the shows.
And there was also another older arena in the market that had been established that was right in the center of things.
Correct. So the building downtown, that building was established. This is where the Suns played.
There's an interesting thing because you have jumped around from a couple arenas, and it's not uncommon. Almost like DJs, you start one place, you move to another place, you go to another place, and you keep moving up as the jobs open up. Shitty town to major town to shitty town. But wherever the jobs are along the food chain, as you move up to the next best job that makes sense that you can convince your wife to go to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it made sense for me to make the move from San Diego to Phoenix because for me, it was about getting involved with major league sports. And I wanted to work for an NHL team or an NBA team. And I thought I was the right fit for it. So I pursued it pretty hard. And luckily I got the job, and it was, again, a great experience for me because, again, I'm going from a competitive market in San Diego to another competitive market. And again, you're having to really fight for every single event that comes through.
Yeah, a lot of the same territorial agents handle both markets. They're on the same routing, very similar promoters that are dealing with both markets. So I could see that being an easy jump.
Yeah, it was a pretty easy jump. I mean, just even geographically for me. So for me to move a little bit to the east, but still be sort of close to the surroundings that I was used to.
There's probably only 2 months in the summer where it's just completely terrible to live there.
Yeah. There's an amphitheater in Phoenix too. And I'm like, how are you doing shows out there? Then the opportunity in Brooklyn came. And so that was a big jump for me.
Yeah, that's a whole different part of the world.
Yeah, very different. I remember looking for apartments in Brooklyn when I first got to the area, and it's so different that I called my wife one night and said, I don't know if I can do it. But I got used to it pretty quick. In a way, I embraced it once we ended up moving to Brooklyn, obviously smaller digs, a little apartment, 1,200 square feet maybe, bringing the kids, my 2 dogs across the country.
And you were working for fucking Jay-Z, dude. How cool is that? That just gives you street credit alone.
That was very helpful, just having Jay-Z a part of the project and immediately bringing that project the kind of recognition it needed within the industry. Not only just with programming partners that we have, agents, promoters, managers, et cetera, but with the artists. And so I think that was a big reason why we had so much success early on in Brooklyn, was because of Jay-Z's affiliation.
You guys rolled that room out correctly, and that must have been hard to do because MSG couldn't have been sitting back on their laurels at that point. They had to be fighting to keep the cool that they epically are. I mean, they're the Caesar's Palace of arenas.
And yeah, especially how nice that room was and all the amenities that were inside of it too, compared to, relatively speaking, MSG at that point. Was there anything we didn't see in that whole process that might have been overlooked in the challenges of opening Barclays?
Honestly, I would say I'm very proud of the work that we did to open up that building. I mean, obviously showing right off the bat that diversity, going from a Jay-Z to a Barbra Streisand, and also throw in Sensation, electronic dance festival that we did, White Festival. Was amazing to introduce that to America. Great timing there, opening up a building and then introducing that to American audiences. We had a family show in there. I mean, we were going to open up the building with 8 Jay-Z's and call it a day. And then we just extended the grand opening till the end of the year. So we had such great content coming through. I think we did a really good job marketing it and branding it and making it a big splash. I mean, we needed to make a big splash in this marketplace, when you have the Garden across the river and the Legacy and all the amazing events that occurred there, and being the new guys on the block, we needed to make a splash. And I think we accomplished that.
So you go from Brooklyn and then you go to Jersey. People usually go the other way, try to get away from mom and dad, move away from the suburbs, come to the city, but you did it the other way.
Yeah, I think for me, I was in Brooklyn for 4 years, a year and a half before we opened, stayed on for another 2.5 years. And I think venues evolve. Where you think you can bring your expertise changes potentially over time. And I think that's what happened in Brooklyn. And the good news is New Jersey is not like moving 1,000 miles away. I mean, you're in the marketplace. This is a major market, whether you're in Jersey, Brooklyn, Manhattan,
Basically the same media market too, right?
It is, yeah. Jersey has its own media as well, but it basically shares a lot of the media.
It's all about maximizing the data, using your email lists correctly and partnering with other people that have good lists, because anything you pay for is just expensive as hell to get eyeballs.
Yeah, for sure. The regular media that we've used in years past is not as effective. So we do rely on data for a lot of our marketing as well as social channels.
Are you guys using print at all for as big as the shows you're doing? Is there any time where it's like, we'll do the Sunday paper or anything anymore? Is that completely done?
It depends on the artist. If it's one of those legacy artists, like let's say Andrea Bocelli, I think it's important to him, his team, to do something like that. The Sunday New York Times is still, I think, very effective for some shows. But on the most part, it's through those channels I was just telling you about. It's the social, it's the data. I think radio still plays a part in this as well. But it's dependent on the artist. And I think we're trying to develop even greater media partners, not necessarily the traditional media partners, but media partners that can get the word out there, having stronger sponsor partners that can also reach certain channels either through retail or through their databases, through their employees, whatever. So there's lots of ways of doing it. There's so many different ways now that it's not as easy as just like, all right, let's put the show up on radio.
Are there shows that you're finding certain genres that sell actually better outside the city and in the suburbs outside in Jersey opposed to in Brooklyn?
I feel like Jersey aligns with Manhattan pretty nicely. I feel like we can do pretty much any genre of show at Prudential Center. We still need to grow probably our alternative indie genre of music in the marketplace, because a lot of the clubs are still in New York and not as many are in Jersey. So people are just used to going into the city to see those breaking acts. But as far as pop, classic rock, country, all very, very strong.
I would assume country would actually probably sell better out there than it would in the city.
It does. I would say country probably sells better in Jersey than in Brooklyn when I was there. It makes sense, right? We continue to grow all of our music. We're also doing a lot of multicultural events in our building, whether it's Latin shows. We kind of are the home of K-pop music on the East Coast. We do a ton
and that's
of
really
hip-hop.
developed into a serious genre now.
It has. We had 2 nights of BTS in our building, sold out as quick, if not quicker, than our Springsteen date. It's something to be reckoned with, as well as this is our 3rd year of KCON, which is a K-pop festival. Takes advantage of some of our outdoor spaces and does 2 nights of that. We're proud of our multicultural program, as well as all the big acts that are coming through. And we are focused on quality over quantity. We want to make sure that the shows that play our building are the right shows, and that we're doing right with our programming partners and the promoters that we are friends with, to make sure that they're not getting killed. It might be a case of an artist coming back too soon. So we try to be very transparent to let everybody know, hey, this act is coming on top of this act. Maybe we should take a break or whatever.
Do you find that acts can play this market too soon? It's like, is there a return play that could be too soon when you're talking about a market this big?
I don't think it's the same for every artist. Historically, this market's always had kind of 2 bites of the apple.
In the case of McCartney, 4.
Right. We have 4 venues, 8 shows. So it's pretty amazing. Obviously, not every artist can do that. It depends on the artist. And, let's say the first time around they're playing the city and it blows out. So, do they add right away, or do they come back on the second leg? But usually there is some combination of that in this marketplace, because it is big enough for that to happen.
So almost 20 plus years of experience in venues. We've got a lot of people to listen to this podcast that are involved. So I'd love to know if you have any sage advice to share for listeners out there and your experience of how to make it in this business for 20 plus years.
I think people say it a lot. It's really relationships. I think that's the first thing that you need to hone in on, is building that relationship base right off the bat. I was very lucky, and I went to work for somebody versus a company. Sort of give that advice to youngsters that are maybe interested in getting into this business, especially on the facility side, is to go work for somebody that can catapult you into this world quicker, by attending conferences, introducing you to people, putting you on the phone when you're on phone calls, cutting deals. That's really, really important because the quicker you can build that database of relationships, the quicker you can move up in this business. I had that opportunity right off the bat. I got to know a lot of people just by attending conferences. Networking, I think, was really important.
Can we talk about how a promoter, when they call you for the first time, gets through the rate card into the deal?
Yeah, I think that I've always been a big proponent of understanding what the situation is with the promoter, what their challenges are to get something off the ground. If we can be transparent with each other in the sense that they're not just trying to get a better deal, just get a better deal, but that, hey, Sean, here's literally what I'm struggling with, and I honestly would love to bring you something, but I can't unless it makes financial sense, and here are my challenges. But not to inflate them in a way. I'm happy to try to work with them initially to get it off the ground because I look at the long game. I look at it from the standpoint of if I can get that promoter to have a great experience working with me, then there's more content to come. And that's what I got to do for my client, which is my boss's long-term content play.
Because we want the deal, so that's important. Dude, thank you so much for taking time and talking to us. It's awesome to get to hang out with you anytime I get to see you.
Cool. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate the opportunity. You guys are doing a great job. We've known each other a long time. I appreciate your candor and advice, too.
Sean is a go-to guy in the arena world. No gig is too big. He can handle anything with a cool head and a great personality. Our friend, Mr. Sean in the house. Thank you so much for making time, my brother.
Lucy Lawler-Freese, Rival Entertainment and the Fox Theater in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm on Promoter 101.
Hey, if you want to reach out to us, send us an email, steiny@promoter101.net.
Thank you again to everybody for tuning in to Promoter 101's 12 Days of Christmas. It's the end of day 9. Day 10 is tomorrow. Everybody tune in. Make sure you're subscribing to this podcast wherever you podcast. Dan and I are doing abridged versions of Promoter 101 throughout the holidays so you can get your fix in. We're going to resume our normally scheduled longer podcasts, including news, tweets, birthdays, everything after the holidays. But for now, we got 3 more amazing podcasts coming to you. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, the 10th day of Promoter 1's 12 Days of Christmas.
You want to try that with a Promoter 101 instead of Promoter 1?
Nope, we dropped the 01 for the 10th day of Promoter 101's 12 Days of Christmas. It's just Promoter 1 today.
Until then, wishing you sold out shows, and we're getting a little punch drunk here, so
Promoter 101 101.
Cheers, everybody.
Hey, it's Mark David from the Music Venue Trust, and you're listening to Promoter 101.
Let's have some fun! Ooh. Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba.